Hello everyone, I'm Nola and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay a while. To my subscribers, thank you for being patient with me. I've been dealing with the niggly little health issue, but I'm much improved now and the medical stuff is being managed. So what I've called this particular recording, it's called Aging is Not the End. When you become a certain age, things tend to go wrong, and such as what I've been dealing with recently. So, we've all known for a while that something is shifting, not in the headlines, but in the hearts of millions of souls. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but if you're still and quiet long enough, you can feel it. A subtle pull inward, a call to reflect, to remember who you are beneath all the roles you've played. You know, throughout our lives, we've all played roles. And this message is particularly meant for those of us who've seen the world change more than once, who've lived long enough to know that wisdom doesn't come from speed, but from silence. There is a quiet awakening happening. It isn't tied to a news cycle. It's spiritual, it's emotional, and it's deeply personal. While many younger people are just beginning to search for meaning, those over 60, they've been holding the questions for decades. Well, I can speak for myself. Why am I here? What does this phase of my life really mean? Is there still something for me to do? Is there still something for me to offer, to become? The answer, precious souls, is yes. Absolutely yes. Modern culture tries to tell us that aging is a decline, that our value is tied to how much we produce, to how fast we adapt, and how young we look. But that's a lie. Oh my goodness, if ever there was a lie, one of many lies, that's it. And it's a dangerous one. Because the truth is, the wisdom, calm, and presence of those of us who have lived through love, loss, trauma, tragedy, and transformation is more needed now than ever. For this time in the world, we're all observing, feeling, sensing, and we know people who are dealing with difficult things if you are not in the middle of the storm yourself, right? Your presence, your stillness isn't a shadow, it's an anchor. This moment in time, this chapter of life, it's not about disappearing quietly. Hell no, it's not about disappearing quietly. It's an invitation for us to look inward, to reclaim parts of ourselves that we have set aside. While raising families, building careers, and holding others together, including ourselves. Many times in our lives, we are holding others together while barely holding ourselves together. You know, you've got to put on that brave front. You've got to be strong for the children. You've got to be strong for the family. You can't allow anyone to see you crack or break. Because if you broke down and you started to weep, you may never stop. I know many of you know this and feel this way and have felt this way. It's time to ask, what have I yet to heal? What stories still live in my body? And what kind of peace am I ready to make with myself? Not with anyone out there. And this isn't about religion. It's not about dogma. It's about truth. And truth always, always begins within. You don't have to start a movement. You don't need to write a book or change the world overnight. Sometimes your mission at this stage is to soften, to listen more deeply, to forgive something you thought you'd carry to the grave, to plant seeds for someone you may never meet. And in doing that, you shift the atmosphere around you. We've been trained to believe that change only happens through action. But there's a different kind of change that begins with awareness. One person who lives with peace, with clarity and humility, can bring calm to an entire room. Have you ever known that person where you sit in their company and sometimes it feels like calmness and peace permeates from their knees or from their person? I've experienced that with someone where I just felt that the peace permeated the room. It seemed to have been coming from his knees. That was my late husband. He was an extremely peaceful man. And I've been striving to be like that. And that's no small thing in a world that feels like it's moving too fast. Are you moving too fast? Do you need to slow down a little? It's not a dash, you know. It's a marathon. This stage of life isn't the end. It's the deepening. When the masks drop, when the performance ends, what's left is the soul. Your soul, my soul, our souls, collectively. And the soul, no matter the age of the body, is still capable of expansion, compassion, and profound clarity. If you've lived 6 decades or more, you have something many don't yet possess. Yep, many still may not possess what you have. So therefore, your life is not worth nothing, and neither have you amounted to nothing. Because what you have, money cannot buy. Reading a book cannot give you that. And the only way to learn that, you cannot take classes on it. Yes, we can learn from other people's mistakes. We certainly can. But many people, if you've lived 6 decades or more, you have something many don't yet possess, and that is perspective, memory, and a kind of softness that only comes from letting go of what no longer matters. In a world full of noise, those who carry quiet wisdom are more valuable than ever before. So please remember your value. You are extremely valuable. That wisdom that you have, that knowledge, that quiet knowing, that inner wisdom, that voice within you that is more pronounced now. When you didn't listen when you were younger, you know now to pay a little more attention. You even know it in the weather, in the change of the weather, how your body feels, right? And you don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to be present, fully present, truthfully present, and tenderly present. That is your gift. And the younger generation, whether they admit it or not, they're watching us. Yes, they are. Not for our words, but for our energy. For your energy, for my energy, for our energy. Show them what it looks like to age with grace, to let go with dignity, and still believe in love. You are not done. You are seriously not done. You are not forgotten. Just look at your nieces and nephews. Look at some of the people that you have worked with. Perhaps you've been a school teacher and you run into kids that were in your class, or you've been a nurse with some kind of a provider, and you run into people and you know, and looking back with the thank yous, about how many lives you have touched and how many lives you have changed for the better. So you are not forgotten and you are not irrelevant. You are here now because your presence is needed. And if this message has stirred something in you, if it reminded you that your story still matters, please share it with someone that will listen. There are many that are hungry to hear. So I will ask you today to please share this with someone who may need this too. Because sometimes all it takes to shift a life is a new perspective and the courage to begin again. This message that I bring to you today was inspired by years of spiritual study, life experience, and the school of hard knocks, and the quiet nudges of spirit. Not to echo anyone's words, but to honor truth, a truth many of us are just beginning to remember. And then I want to tell you about an experience. I have been a caregiver, a healthcare provider, whatever you want to call people that take care of other people. And so I've been a little busy with doctors and hospitals. It's a thyroid issue that I have. And if anyone remembers the late Louise Hay and what she says about sore throats and thyroid issues, it's not being free or feeling free to speak up for oneself. So I'm dealing with a lifetime of not speaking up for myself and speaking my truth. And so here I am today in front of you, a little shyly, a little uncomfortable, anxious, all of those things. But what I saw, the doctors are appearing to get younger and younger. I don't know if it's just a Dutch thing, because in America, where I'm from, and which is my home country, our doctors seem a little older. And maybe it's just because I'm older and I didn't realize that I'm getting older, that all these doctors just seem so young. And I met with an internist last Thursday and I said, man, you girls and guys are just getting younger and younger. And she looked at me and she smiled and she said, yes, but this is also a teaching hospital. I said, but that's beside the point. I've seen several doctors over the last few months, and perhaps the oldest was somewhere between 50 and 56 years old in my guesstimate. And then while she was typing in her notes, I grew quiet and then I started to laugh. And I said, man, life goes so fast. Not so long ago, I worked with lots of young doctors and nurses. When I looked back and I thought back, I thought, well, now I'm the older one. Life goes by so fast, so do enjoy your life. Take time out for the things that you like to do, even if it's just to sit quietly and reading a book. And if you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, it's free to do so, and sharing, I would appreciate that. And please remember that kindness really matters. Everybody is dealing with something that we don't know about. And also remember to be kind to yourself. Nourish your body, nourish your spirit. Go out into nature. It's springtime, yeah, in Europe. you may be in other parts of the world where you're now in fall. Still guarding nature. Listen to the birds. Watch a sunrise, a sunset. Go out and watch the reflection when there's a full moon of the full moon on the water. Those are some of the things that you can do. So, until the next time, do take care and bye for now.